Trigger warning, spoiler alert, good God, Wally, don't let the young kid play. You are experiencing the Tom Kelly Show. I am still in New York, friends. Monday afternoon, April 18th, I am podcasting from the Field 6 parking lot of Jones Beach in a loaner car from the Jeep dealership. The Wrangler is going into the shop to get the dashboard replaced. That's a whole story. But I'm in a loaner, a brand new 2021 Jeep Renegade. And I'll tell you this, people, it feels cheap. I like the Wrangler better. Much better car. I think also the price is like literally the Wrangler costs twice as much as a Renegade. But I'm digressing, people. I'm digressing. So if listen to yesterday and you will understand my travel anxiety. I hate the idea of going from place one to place two. And I hate the idea of the distance between place one and place two. And I always have a fear of something going wrong when I have to be at place two, that I can't get there from place one. And I always have a fear that when I'm in place two, somebody needs me in place one. Does that make sense? I hope it does. My phone is blowing up, by the way. I am podcasting in part as an experiment. I want to see if the audio quality is good enough with me doing this with an AirPod in my ear and doing it straight to iPhone. If this works, if this is acceptable, I will be carrying 25 pounds less audio equipment to Los Angeles. And 25 pounds is an exaggeration, but it's bulky. Like, you've seen my remote podcast microphone. It's bulky. So there's a lot going on. I also hate making plans. I have what many of you have already heard of called fear of missing out. And this is what drives me friggin' crazy, people. When I make plans, better plans make themselves available to me. I literally have been a step above, not unemployed. I've been underemployed. You know me, I used to work 5 jobs. And literally, I decided I had a lot of trouble with this trip because they asked me if I wanted to do it in November. They didn't commit till let's say January or February. It wasn't until April. And then you have that whole thing of, you got to buy the plane ticket. You got to buy the plane ticket. What happens if they run out of plane tickets? What happens if there's another pandemic? What happens if you just can't get there? Okay, that anxiety is in one side of my head. The other side of my head is, well, what if something better happens? What if something better happens? What if somebody gets sick? What if a job in New York happens? What if some great stand-up gigs happen? What if a hot chick suddenly jumps in the back of your rented loaner car and wants to have sex with you while you're in New York, but you're on your way to LA? Whatever it is, the voices in my head conflict, and then I sit there in the land of indecision. That's the one thing I miss about the daytime TV shows, was there was structure to my life and day. And listen, I've actually done okay this year sitting around and waiting for people to call me. Granted, I've also had a couple of my podcast fans, Marianne and Laura and Sinsal and who else? Basically a lot of you guys calling comedy clubs and begging them to put me on stage. So you guys have kind of been my agents and managers. But so now here I am. I finally just commit to saying, all right, I'm going to plan a week. I planned a day of work, or a day of travel. I said, I'm going to fly out on my dad's birthday. I get a chance to wish Dad a happy birthday in the morning, take him out for breakfast, take an Uber, go to JFK, and then I'll go be in LA for 2 or 3 days before I have to work, go lay the groundwork, as my friend Joey likes to say, and then look around, and then basically look around, and see what LA is like. Experience another coast. Instead of looking at the same beautiful but gray beach for the 1,000th time, go look at a different beach. Whatever it is, I was going to go experience something new. And then on Easter Sunday, I get a call that says, hey, Tom, do you want to work at your dream warm-up job, Colbert? Don't tell anybody I said that. Colbert. okay, on Thursday night. And again, I don't want to talk too much about it. The person who has the job has something important going on in their family. And we looked at the schedule. And the best and only way I could fly out is, as far as available flights on Delta Airlines, is there's a 9 p.m. flight, 6-hour flight that would land 3 a.m. New York time, 1 a.m., actually probably 4 a.m. New York time, and then 1:30 a.m. LA time. And then I would have to be at work the next day at 1 p.m. Arguably just enough time to get a day's sleep in, check into the hotel, blah, blah, blah. But it's the last flight out. And am I really putting my faith and my career in the hands of Delta Airlines? And I decided to say no. And now at this particular TV show, I'm one of 2 people trained and experienced in doing the job. And I think I'm making the right call. And now I remember the story of Wally Pip. Who is Wally Pip? Wally Pip was a first baseman for the New York Yankees. And I'm going to tell the short version of the story because our friend Carrie Hedges has pointed out I'm repeating a couple of the stories. But these are the stories that drive me. If you're listening to this podcast, trying to understand the mind of a comedian, there's just a few core stories that drive me. One of which is Wally Pip. And the short story on Wally Pip was a great first baseman for the New York Yankees. And one day he's fighting with the boss or manager, according to legend. And he said, "Hey, boss, why don't you just let the new kid play?" Well, the new kid was a guy named Lou Gehrig, who played for the next 11 years straight. And that is a big issue I have been going through lately, is the Messiah complex. My dad calls it. Everybody thinks they're Jesus. Everybody thinks things don't go on without them. Well, guess what? The View went on without me. Good Morning America is going on well without me. When you let other people do your jobs, you realize you're not replaceable. And guess what? Even parents, mom dies, dad dies, the family marches on. Everybody doesn't just go shoot themselves in the head. Somehow you have to find a way forward. And that sounds dark, but it is. We're all replaceable. And that will be a big issue with Dr. Cheryl in another hour and 5 minutes, is that realization that even if you're the best, you're replaceable. And even, listen, Robin Williams is dead. They're still making movies. We could go through other dead. Gilbert Gottfried's dead. Let's face it, they were making movies without Gilbert Gottfried while Gilbert Gottfried was alive. But you get what I'm saying. Bob Saget's dead. They managed to get in one last episode of Full House. I don't know, but you get what I'm saying, people, is the party goes on. The party goes on. So now, as I'm getting ready to podcast and record a sample episode for you guys, I get a call from another TV show that says they might want me on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And I basically pulled the tough guy card of, listen, call me if you definitely want me. I'm not rearranging flights for maybes. And there you go. But this is exactly why I have trouble making plans, is because the minute I commit to a travel schedule, that's when everything else wants me. And it drives me effing crazy. Every time I give up, not even give up, but commit to something else wants me. And so what do you do in that decision? Sometimes you got to just stick to the plan. And that's what I'm doing right now is. But then you wonder, there are now 2 shows where I'm the number 2 person. And number 3, 4, 5, and 6 are now auditioning for my number 2 spot. So it's hard making decisions. So that's why we get into the importance of creating things for yourself, creating things where, I really hate this understudy life that I'm living. Actually, that's a very good, you guys are helping me come to a realization right now. Instead of being a great understudy for the week, I'm going to focus on where I'm the lead dancer. You know what? I'm going to put my energy into the places where I am first choice. Wow. That's a thing. Gosh, you are such a good listener, audience. You really are. I really, it's funny. I did not really come up with a list of things to talk about today. I have my notebook. I have my podcast machine. Let's just pull out my sparkly notebook. This notebook is a gift from, let's start with this. Do you guys, for those of you watching on YouTube, you can see this. This is the 19 Crimes. This is the 19 Crimes wine label that was given to me by Marianne Stelmagic. 19 Crimes makes a great wine. I, Tom Kelly, should be the sponsor for this wine. Tom Kelly Show should be the official podcast of this wine. Now, Marianne and I think it was Laura Sensal came to see me perform at Governor's Comedy Club this weekend, and Marianne gave me 2 more labels for their wine. Apparently you can get free, if you download their app, you can get free wine labels. How cool is that? Thank you, Marianne. Let's look through the little idea notebook and see if there's anything random I have written in here that is podcast worthy. God would be awful at TikTok. You can't get 10 commandments out in 15 seconds. I like that. A lot of Jesus jokes lately. Everybody moving into a neighborhood should join the local moms group because you have to figure out the moms to Karens ratio in your neighborhood. I don't need science. I've joined the local moms group. Actually, some of these are cute. So it's funny how a lot of my comedy notebooks have become really just lists of things to do. I watched, maybe I'll go there while I'm in Los Angeles. I watched the Showtime documentary on the Comedy Store. These are lessons I learned from part 1 of a several-part special of Showtime's Comedy Store show. Do more than have an act that works in one spot. When you get good in one place, you need to go somewhere else. What is your turning point? What was the turning point in your life? Live a beautiful, full life. You deserve it. I have no idea who said these quotes. I just wrote this down while watching the documentary. You have everything anyone could want. What is missing? David Letterman did not do the late night hangout at the Comedy Store because he got sleepy. I get sleepy. And a revelation I had about myself, which I think I share with a lot of comedians, is my drug is being in the moment and getting attention from strangers. God. And that's one of the things I'm kind of liking about this podcast is learning how to get attention and affection from a familiar group of people rather than going out to 200 strangers each time. All right. We're going to make this a short podcast because I'm running out of I want to make sure this works. And I'm friggin' anxious. And I want to test this and edit this and make sure it works. So, listen, Magic Mirror time. Anybody, if you feel like it, comment on some of the Governor's Comedy Club's posts and say, I saw Tom Kelly this week and he was hilarious. You can comment on their Instagram. We'll see if that gets to the owner. Other things you can do to help is, just be nice to each other. If you guys sent me some nice notes in the group. Last one. Join the Tom Kelly Show secret fan group. I'm going to post an audiobook, a 20-minute audiobook that's been useful to me. I'm going to post it there so you guys can have the U squared audiobook. Don't tell anybody I'm doing this because it is audio piracy, but it's a small group of favorite friends. We'll be fine. Magic Mirror time. I see Laura. I see Marianne. I see Mel. I see, who else do I see? I see Kristen. I see Tara. And I see you. Follow me for the next couple of weeks, people. It's going to be an adventure. Good night, Jones Beach.